What is going on? I am so excited to be able to be with you guys today and speak with you. My favorite group to speak to, other than a group of counselors, is fellow administrators. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gary Brooks. I'm a 27-year veteran educator with 17 years in administration. And about 4 years ago, I put a video up on Facebook, and it went viral. And I continue to put those up. And over the past 4 years, I've gained about 2 million followers on social media, who the majority of are educators, people in the education field. And so that's kind of how I'm here. I've been very blessed because of that, and because of that notoriety. I've been able to speak all over the place. Wish I could be with you guys in person, but this is kind of the next best thing. So very excited to be able to be with you guys for the next little while here, and hopefully to be able to challenge you. So I have two goals today. My first goal is for you to walk out of here with one or two things that are going to help you in your position, no matter what it is. Curriculum specialist, assistant principal, district leadership, principal, whatever your position is. My first goal is for you to walk away from here with one or two things that are going to help get you through this school year. And this is a crazy school year. We have no idea what's going to happen. Things could change even next week. And so my first goal is for you to be able to walk out of here with one or two things that you can use that are going to help you through the school year. My second goal is for you to walk out of here with one or two things that you can use for your school. My goal is always, whenever I speak, is to allow teachers to be leaders and to hear something that they can take back to their schools. And as the people who are already leaders, then my goal is to be able to present you something that you can present to your staff. And I challenge you, if you hear something you love, steal it, take it. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. If I say something that hits home with you and your school, then by all means, please share the exact same thing. So I hope you're going to take notes. Nothing I'm going to say is rocket science today. And so I'm really hoping that you're going to be able to take notes. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a lot of stuff that you can use even at the beginning of the school year for your teachers, but also hopefully for your school and for yourself professionally. So if you've ever heard me speak or know anything about me, you know that I always speak about the same thing. I think the most important thing in education is personal climate and culture. We all know what climate and culture is. We talk about the climate and culture of our schools, of our buildings, the climate and culture of a grade level, and we all know that from meeting with grade levels that each grade level has a different climate and culture. And what I like to focus in on is personal climate and culture. Because personal climate and culture is how you deal with the people, the situation, the parents, the colleagues, the students that are around you. And if you have positive personal climate and culture, then things are going to go okay with you, even if you're in a stressful situation. If you're in a stressful school, you've got some stressful parents, everybody has those, some stressful colleagues, teachers. Things are going to go much better if you have personal climate and culture. So I always speak on this, personal climate and culture, because my goal, again, is for you to be able to walk away from here with something that's going to help you personally. I actually love the virtual conferences because a lot of times I'm speaking to people that are in their offices or in their homes, and they're not distracted with people around us. And I'm not sure if you guys are gathered and socially distanced or you're watching in your offices, but I like the idea that we're kind of away from everybody, because it's real easy to get distracted with the people sitting around us and think, oh gosh, he's talking to you or she's talking to you. In this virtual situation, you can focus in on you and what it is that you might need or what you might hear. And so my goal is for you to walk away with two or three things that are going to help you personally on your personal climate and culture, and one or two things that are going to challenge you, hopefully, that you can use with your school. Now, normally when I speak, I will speak on a topic and I will use a video that I have shown, and I will challenge through that video. But I've kind of changed things up for my virtual presentations. A little bit harder for me. I like to just be able to go straight through rather than cut and paste and throw videos in. So I do things a little bit differently. Rather than use my videos, I have gone to the Dollar Tree, and I have picked out some great items that I want to be able to share with you that are going to really hit climate and culture. My background is youth ministry. I was a youth minister for 7 years, and object lessons were a major part of what I would teach. And so I love being able to use objects and to be able to teach with those. And that's what I'm going to do today. And I challenge you, if you see an object on here that fits with what you're doing, grab it. Or go to the Dollar Tree yourself and walk around. No better place than to go to the Dollar Tree just for people watching. It's absolutely hilarious. So I want to be able to share with you some of the things that I've gotten at the Dollar Tree. that are hopefully going to be able to challenge you for personal climate and culture. And so the first thing that I got was these. I absolutely love M&Ms and the Dollar Tree. There's no better place to get them at the Dollar Tree, because I'm not sure if you know this, but this is what we used to have, plain and peanut M&Ms. That was it. Well, let me show you what they have at the Dollar Tree. They have brownie M&Ms, and they have white chocolate M&Ms, and they have caramel M&Ms, and they have peanut butter M&Ms. I dropped one. And they have hazelnut M&Ms. They even have mint, but I think somebody ate my mint ones. But look at all these. I absolutely love going to the Dollar Tree because all the varieties of M&Ms, and these are a great thing to be able to give out as treats. Now, for my school, this is an easy one. A really, really easy one. This hazelnut would go to, hazelnut's gonna go to Miss Gonzalez. She's my 4th grade teacher, and she loves Nutella. And so I get her a big thing of Nutella at Christmas, one of those honking ones, and she absolutely loves hazelnut Nutella type things. So this is, that's who would get these. These peanut ones would definitely not go to anybody in my office, because my secretary is allergic to peanuts. And so we don't do peanut butter candy in my office, and I know that I would not give those to anybody that was in my office. These white chocolate ones, my librarian loves these, and I didn't even know they had these until Halloween, and she got so excited and kept bringing them in. I didn't realize that it was a big thing, and she absolutely loves those. So these would go to Melinda Craig. She's my librarian. She drives me crazy, but she's a good friend. These caramel ones, this is an easy one. My PE teacher nonstop has caramel, and she absolutely loves these. And these right here, the brownie ones, I give this to my assistant because she makes great brownies, and giving her these might help her to remember she needs to make me some brownies. So here's my point of all this. You know, this is a great treat to be able to grab and give to your staff, but my question to you is, would you know who to give them to? If someone put these on your desk and said, give these out to your staff, would you know who to give them to? You see, one of the most important things about climate and culture is knowing your staff. And that seems like a really silly illustration, but would you know which person would want which of these M&Ms on your staff? We have to, as administrators, as leaders, reach out and start getting to know our staff. So do you know your staff? If you have a staff member who has a child, do you know what you need to be asking that staff member about? Their children. I tell my staff all the time, don't tell me you love the job I'm doing. Don't ask me about test scores. If you want to get to know me, if you want to be on the inside with me, ask me about my children, because you know they're my pride and joy. If you have a staff member that loves restoring antique cars, you know what you need to be asking that person about? Restoring antique cars. When we start to know people on a personal level, then we start to know them on a personal level. And it builds positive relationships amongst our colleagues. And here's a great one for your staff, is that you would say, who would get this? Do you know on our staff who's allergic to peanut butter? It sounds super silly, but you know what? It's a climate and culture thing. Here's one thing I want to challenge you with when it comes to getting to know your staff that is excellent. And I do this every year. Every year I'm going to go ahead and put these down. Every year I email the staff at the beginning of the school year, and I say, would you please email me 3 things: your favorite sweet food, your favorite salty food, and your favorite drink that you're allowed to drink at school. You have to preface it with that, or else you're going to get a lot of information that you don't want. So I asked the entire staff, what's your favorite sweet food, what's your favorite salty food, and what's your favorite drink? And they all emailed me that back, and I put it in a word spreadsheet, and I give it to my assistant principal. And you know what we're sitting on? We're sitting on climate and culture, because we know the favorites of everybody in our building. And then when Miss Smith has a really bad planning period, and a parent calls her and screams and yells at her, and she's crying in her room, an hour later, she's got a sweet tea from McDonald's and pretzels on her desk, because I can pull up my list and look and see what's going to make her day a little bit better. Do you know how simple and easy that is? That's you reaching out to your staff saying, what is it that's going to make your day if you're having a hard day? Or what can I get you as a treat if you've done something really good? And all it takes is 10 minutes of your time emailing your staff and finding out what it is and putting it all together. And I know it's very expensive. I'm very blessed to be able to do that right now. You can do it too. Do you know who would help you? The church across the street. If you went to the church in your neighborhood and said, hey, here's a list of 50 candy bars that my staff absolutely love. Is there any way that somebody at the church could get them for us? I guarantee you the next week, those 50 candy bars will be on your desk ready to give out and in your desk there. You know, we have to get to know our colleagues, and one of the ways we get to know them is simply talking to them. Do you know your teachers? Do you know your assistant principal or your principal? That's what causes positive climate and culture, and that's where people want to work. Challenge yourself. Get to know your staff on a personal basis. Challenge your teachers. Get to know each other. I tell my grade levels, do you know your grade level well enough to know what M&M package they would get? And you know what? Mine do. The next thing I'm going to show you I absolutely love is these. These are dollar store, Dollar Tree glasses. I don't say dollar store. You know, the dollar store is not all a dollar. These are Dollar Tree glasses. I love these. Here's why. I need reading glasses, and I lose reading glasses. And so about once every 2 months, I go to the Dollar Tree and I buy like 10 pair of reading glasses. And then I stick them by my chair, by my bed, in the bathroom, in the refrigerator, pretty much everywhere around the house because there's just $1. By the way, in the Dollar Tree, when they first opened, if you would ask them how much something is, they would blow a whistle and everybody that worked at the store would yell, "It's $1!" Just a side note. So I love to go to the Dollar Tree and get these Dollar Tree reading glasses. And here's the what I want to remind you of these and why I think these are a great object lesson. One of the things that we have to do in administration and really in education, so I'm really, as you can see as I present, I'm going to talk to you as leaders, but I also want to challenge you to be able to challenge people that you work with. One of the things that we have to do as leaders is look through other people's lenses. You see, we can't just look through the lenses of us. We can't just look through how something affects us or how that decision is going to affect what we are doing. We've got to look through the lenses of other people. And so often we don't want to do that. And you know this from working with teachers. They want to look through their glasses only. They want you to make a decision based on what they're seeing from their glasses. And really and truly what you need to challenge them to do is, are they seeing through your lenses? But let's start with you first. Are you seeing through the lenses of your teachers? When you decide to take your teacher's planning away twice in 1 week, are you seeing through their lenses as to why that's so irritating to them? When you're choosing to, what's another one? When you're choosing, I can't even think of another one. When you're choosing to extend your staff meeting out and all of a sudden you're saying, we're going to say an extra 45 minutes. Are you seeing through the teacher's lenses? When you put a child back into the classroom that a teacher has sent up because of behavior and you send them back into the classroom in 10 minutes, are you seeing through the teacher's lenses? Because you know what the teacher's saying is, I needed you to keep that kid so I could teach my class. And what they see in their lenses, you just send them back to me. Well, let's say the other way around. You got to teach your staff to see through other people's lenses. Because me as an administrator, and I tell this at the beginning of the school year all the time, when a teacher sends a student up to me and sits them down and says, this child did this, this, and this, I don't want him in my classroom, and the teacher walks away, what I see walking away is their math lesson and their science lesson and their English lesson for that day. And my lens as a principal is, I need to be able to deal with this behavior, but what I really need to be able to do is get this child back in front of that teacher so that they can learn. And see, we have 2 different sets of glasses here. My child is a physician's assistant, and when the coronavirus all started, I was just avid and livid about the masks and staying at home. Because if you choose to be out with groups of people and without masks, then your behavior could affect my child. And so I just was so adamant about that. Why would anybody ever question it? We just absolutely have to keep everybody safe. Well, about a month in, when we realized things weren't going to go back to normal really quickly, we started hearing from all these businesses that were throwing fits, saying, I got to have my dry cleaning open, I got to have my restaurant open. And I was so irritated because I needed to have my child safe. But then I looked through their glasses. See, I don't have a home business. I don't run a restaurant. I don't run a dry cleaning. And those people's lenses say, we've got to get the economy open up again because this is how I'm feeding my family. My lenses said, we've got to keep the economy closed because my child is having to deal with people that are out in groups. We got to look through people's lenses. What lenses are you looking through? We have to look through the lens of our parents. And I tell teachers this all the time. You're so mad about this parent. And let me tell you a great example. Medicine. When our kids' medicine runs out, the teacher's like, oh my gosh, this child is this, this, and that. They can't focus. They can't do this. And they're so mad at the parent. Well, I wonder if they have the parent's lenses on, that this parent is working 2 jobs, doesn't have time to go get medicine, doesn't have a car to go get medicine, doesn't have the medicine, the money to be able to go get a prescription. And so we have to always look through the lenses of other people in order to make sure that we have positive climate and culture, because when you're looking through their lenses, you're seeing things from their side. So I want to challenge you. grab yourself some of these. And one of the things that I want to say too is I put these things on my desk to help me remember. So that when I open up my desk and I see these, well, I use these for reading, but I also remember that too. Another thing that I absolutely love is these little jellies and these peanut butters. Isn't that the silliest thing ever? These are just the funnest thing ever. Now, this is actually kind of expensive for peanut butter, but they sell them 3 for $1 at the Dollar Tree, and then they have these little jellies. I absolutely love this. This is just a huge treat to me because, again, I grew up very poor, and we would never be able to have something individualized like this. So I think these are just the funnest things. I love PB&Js. So I've kind of marked this down a little bit to something that we deal with that's going to really and truly be detrimental to our profession, and that's PJ, and that's professional jealousy. You got to be very careful with professional jealousy. I didn't really know what professional jealousy was and that I was having it and being affected by it in the educational setting until I became a social media influencer. I don't like the word social media influencer. I think it's kind of silly. But basically that just means somebody has a big following. I didn't realize that I could get so caught up into professional jealousy until I became a social media influencer. Because I all of a sudden started being irritated when somebody had more views than I did, or somebody gained more followers than I did, or somebody had a great idea that I was thinking about and didn't use it. And all of a sudden I was irritated with that person, even to the point where I'm thinking, I don't want to follow that person anymore. I don't want to see their success. You see, personal jealousy, professional jealousy, has to do with the fact that you're not celebrating someone else's success because you're upset that that's not you. Do you see how detrimental that can be to you? Do you see how detrimental that can be to your teacher? So let's start with you. When you are full of professional jealousy, you can't be excited for the people sitting around you right now or in their houses that you know of, because when they have test scores that are higher than yours, you're not happy about it because you're jealous of it. When one of their teachers gets chosen as teacher of the year and yours doesn't, you can't be happy for them and that teacher because you're jealous about it because it wasn't your school. Professional jealousy gets in the way of our relationships because here's what happens. When someone is doing something great and you have professional jealousy over that person, you don't want to reach out to them to ask them for help, which now affects you. Because that person who's doing something great, who got great test scores, or whose, basketball team was recognized something because of the way they recruited their coaches, or they never have teacher turnover, and you're just jealous of that and you roll your eyes about it, because that's really all it is. It's professional jealousy. When you have professional jealousy, it stops you from reaching out to that person and asking them what they're doing great. Now, if you think, that's not really me, well, let me ask you this. Have you seen teachers like this? You see, we have a lot of teachers with professional jealousy, and you need to challenge that. You could also use Uncrustable, but I ate the Uncrustable that I was going to use for this, so I got to use these. So professional jealousy among teachers. Do you know how hard that is? And this happens all the time, especially with experienced teachers. When all of a sudden a younger teacher comes in and they've got all this energy and they use all this technology and everybody loves them, they can develop professional jealousy. And that is a detriment to a grade level, because now you got people that are really arguing and they don't like each other and they don't realize why. And why they really are like that is because this teacher who's been here for 25 years all of a sudden doesn't like that younger teacher is getting class requests for next year, or is getting to be able to speak at the staff meeting, and they're getting to be able to teach about technology, and I've been here for 25 years and nobody's ever asked me, and now you've allowed professional jealousy to seep in on a grade level or a department, and you got to struggle. You got to protect yourself from professional jealousy, not just you, but from the staff that are around you and that are with you. This is one of my favorite things too. This is just a ladle, just a simple ladle. I got to put it over here because of my dark shirt. So this is just a simple ladle. I was in NISL, which is the National Institute for School Leaders. I don't know if any of you all have done that. My ADHD doesn't allow me to sit through that much training, but in NISL, the biggest thing that I walked away from was one of the speakers that talked, and he talked about being an artist, living like an artist, living like an immigrant, or living like a waitress. And I loved his example, and so I share that. I need to find out his name because I'm kind of stealing and not telling you what his name is. But I love his example of a ladle, and so I grabbed this ladle from Dollar Tree to be able to share with you. He said that he was at Denny's with a friend, and the waitress came up, took their order in there, and he ordered fruit salad. And when she came, about 15 minutes later to deliver their meal, she put his plate down, and she put his bowl of fruit salad down, and she kind of winked at him, and she said, "I gave you an extra scoop of fruit salad." And his example of that is she couldn't control a lot of what was happening. She didn't control the atmosphere of the hostess. She didn't control how good the food tasted. She couldn't control how clean things were. That was the manager's job. But what she could control was that ladle, because part of her job was getting the fruit salad for him. And her decision to control that ladle enabled her to get a 40% tip instead of a 20% tip, because she said, I gave you an extra scoop. What she said was, what I could control in this situation, I controlled. We need to remember that. There are a lot of things that we can't control. You can't control what's happening right now around the world. You can't control what your district has decided or has not decided about the opening of school. There's so many things that you cannot control, but there are a lot of things you can control. Did you know you can't control the behavior of a parent, but you can control your behavior when you're dealing with that parent? We deal with so many things in education that we cannot control. And if we start getting wrapped up in things we can't control, like state testing, guess what? It's always going to be there. We can't control state testing, but we can control how we feel about it. We can control how we challenge our staff about it and how we challenge our teachers about it. There are a lot of things that you can control, and that's what you need to make sure that you're doing. Controlling the things that you can control. And what's that got to do with your staff? Wouldn't that be great to say this? There's a lot of things you're not going to be able to control this year. At this point, you can't control who's in your classroom. We've already done that. You can throw a fit about it all year in, but you're not going to do anything about it. But you can control the way you deal with those students, the way you deal with those parents. We can't control state testing. No matter how much we complain about it, it's going to come in the spring. But you know what we can do? We can control our attitudes. We can control the way it is, the things that we're going to do as it leads up to that, and how we're going to put emphasis on it or not on it, hopefully. You know, I can't control your planning, but you can. You can't control that you've only got 50 minutes of planning, but you can control what you do in that planning. I absolutely love this example of the fact that we have things in our lives that we can't control. We got to let them go. But there are some things that we can control. And of those things that we can control, that's what we need to make sure that we are able to do good things and make them better situations, because there's just so many things that we can't control. So we got to be able to control some things. This is Silly Putty. I absolutely love this. If you're my age, you know what a big, huge deal Silly Putty was. I've actually got 2 lessons with Silly Putty. I love this. If you know anything about this, and if you're my age, you probably know this was actually a mistake. So they, in World War II, they were trying to make a plastic polymer. I believe it was probably for ammunitions, I'm not sure. But they were trying to make a stronger polymer, and when they were trying it, mixing it, they made a mistake, and they got this Silly Putty. Now, if you don't know what Silly Putty is, it's surprised your administrator. Just kidding. So basically what it is, it's a plastic, but instead of being a really hard plastic, you know, kind of like the egg shell that it comes in, a real hard plastic, it's actually just pliable. So Silly Putty is just this pliable stuff, and it really became one of the most popular toys of the 21st century from a mistake. And so here's the first thing that I want to remind you about this, that this was a mistake. These people made a mistake, and guess what you're going to be making this year? Mistakes. Guess what the people sitting around you at every staff meeting, at every parent conference you go to, guess what people are going to be making? Mistakes. And what I want to remind you is, however you react and accept the mistakes around you is the same way someone's going to react and accept the mistakes that you make. Let me repeat that, because that's worth repeating. However you accept and react to the mistakes around you is the same way someone's going to react and accept the mistakes that you make. So you always need to be accepting mistakes with grace. So we start school in our district on a Wednesday. We have always started on Wednesday. I'm not sure why the district does that. I actually like it. We get 3 days to kind of get settled, and then we can kind of move into the new school week. We always vote as a school when we're going to have open house. And our teachers always vote to have it on Sunday before the Wednesday when we open. They know that at a low-income school, if we have our open house on Monday through Friday, then we're going to miss a lot of parents because our parents are working 2 jobs. So our teachers choose to give up their last Sunday of the summer for open house. Well, because they're doing this, I always tell them, let's get ready the Thursday before, have your room ready, have the school ready. We'll shut the building down Friday and Saturday. You can spend the last 2, Friday and Saturday, with your family, enjoying the summer, and then we'll come back to school on Sunday, and we'll kick the school year off on Sunday. So let's try to plan around Thursday being as if it's an open house. And they do that all the time. And so I walked through the building this one particular year, probably about 7 o'clock at night. Everything looked great. We could have started school right then. Everything was perfect, clean. We could have started school right then and there. Went home on Friday, didn't come in, spent Friday with my family. I had forgotten my computer at school, so I came in on Saturday afternoon about 1 real quick to grab my computer, and there was a free table with stuff stacked all the way to the ceiling. Somebody had been cleaning their room, and rather than taking the stuff that they had cleaning and they didn't want out to the dumpster, they put out a table and they put the word free on it. And they stacked all this stuff that they didn't want, and we were 1 day away from our open house. Well, I could have taken a picture of it and sent it out to everybody and said, whoever did this needs to get up here. I'm not cleaning it up for you. Or I could have done what all educators love. I, as the administration, could have sent out a mass email to everybody, even though it only pertained to one person. Let me tell you a side note. Stop sending emails that don't pertain to everyone. Stop sending emails that don't pertain to every grade level but just one. We send those out and we think, well, everybody needs to hear this. Everybody needs a reminder. No, they don't. It's the same person doing the exact same thing. Stop sending out emails because one grade level, or one department, or one person did something. It makes the other people that are doing the correct thing feel badly. So let me go back to that. So I could have sent out an email on that, but I learned my first year teaching, however I accept and react to the mistakes around me is the same way people are going to accept and react to my mistakes. And if I had called that teacher out in front of everybody and gotten all over them about having a free table, 3 weeks later, when I forgot to tell the whole staff that we were having an afternoon assembly and I interrupted everybody's instructional day with no notice whatsoever, they would have called me out. So I learned a long time ago that however you accept the mistakes around you is the same acceptance you're going to get when you make a mistake. So always react with grace. That's what we need to do. And let me tell you who's going to be making mistakes this year. You. Let me tell you who's going to be making mistakes this year. Your staff. And we have to be able to react with grace and acceptance of those, because when we make a mistake, they're going to jump all over us if that's what we've chosen to do. And let me tell you who else makes lots of mistakes. Our parents. They don't know how much school lunch is, even though it's been the same amount all year round. They have no idea what time football practice ends, and they're late to pick up their child every single day, even though it ends at the exact same time. Have you ever dealt with those parents? Let me tell you what happens if you deal with a parent's mistake inappropriately. If you deal with a parent's mistake inappropriately, you jump on them, you're disrespectful, whatever it is. If you do that, what they're doing is pouring over your newsletter and your school websites, waiting for someone to misspell a word because they want to take a picture of that word and they want to put it on social media and let everybody know the mistake that you made. Do you know why they're doing that? Because when they made a mistake, you jumped all over them and announced it to the whole world, or you made them feel bad about it, and all they're doing right now is hoping that you're going to make a mistake too, because they want to announce that to the world too. There are people all around that are going to be making mistakes. And what you need to do is make sure that you react with grace, because that's what you want back. Now, my second silly putty object lesson is what it actually does and why it's so cool. Now, it bounces. That's really cool. You can do it in different shapes. But here's what the real coolness of silly putty was, and what really and truly the younger generation, younger than anybody my age and older, is missing about how great this is. You see, this actually takes off newsprint. Okay, so I've got a comic book right here. So here's a comic book, and if I pull this up and I look at this flower right here, okay, and if I put this silly putty on top of this flower, then what's going to happen is the silly putty pulls up some of the newsprint. So you just put this over newsprint, you press it on there, and it's going to take it off. Now here's why this was so cool, and why most people don't get this. Newspapers were big when we were growing up. That's how we got the news. We didn't have Google News and the TV. We had one channel or two channels to get news from. Gosh, that makes me sound really old. That's not true. But we had newspapers, and you know what we had on Sunday? You know, if you're my age, we had newspapers that had color comics. So you could take your silly putty, put it on your color comics, and when you pull it off, look right here. That's a really good example. I need to push that button right here. See if I push this button, it comes into. There it is. There's that flower right there. And so I could put this on Snoopy, or I could put this on Heathcliff, and I could push the on there. When I pulled it up, guess what? It was with me. Isn't that just the coolest thing? And then when I stretch out, it's gone. You know what you need to be doing and challenging your teachers to be doing? Being silly putty. And this is what I mean by that. When you see something doing great, you need to press up against them and pull that off of them and go back and do something great at your school. See, we have to be looking at examples around us of people that are doing good, and then we have to be silly putty with them. Isn't that what you want from your teachers? Isn't that why you have PDs where your teachers lead? Because you've walked into a classroom and you've said, I see the way that you're doing this. That is excellent. And that's what we have to be able to do. We have to be able to be silly putty. When you see something in your district, when you see somebody on the internet that's doing something great, you need to replicate that and duplicate that. Ooh, that's what I should have said, duplicates it. Replicate it, duplicate it, take it back to your school, and you need to be able to challenge your teachers to do the same thing. Do you know who your teachers should be learning from? The people next door to them and the people across the hall. Not Scholastic. Well, I love Scholastic, but you know what? Those people haven't been in the classroom in the past 10, 15 years. I've not been in the classroom in 10 or 15 years. And so I want my teachers leading. When I see somebody doing something great, I want them up in front of my staff, and I want my staff to be silly putty and to take what it is that they're sharing and take it away. As a leader, you got to be able to do the same thing. There's somebody around you, and I know you're not going to believe this, there's somebody around you that does something better than you. I know you're like, nope, you don't know who works in my district, but there is. By the same token, you do something better than other people in your district. You've got to work as colleagues to become silly putty, to take away the good things that people are doing and be able to share that. And you really and truly need to share with your staff that they need to become silly putty too. They need to be able to find out what somebody's doing good, grab that, and let it come on them so that they can share it. I'm going to close this up here. Next thing that I have at the Dollar Tree is this cup. It says, check me out. I just love that. You know, it's like a cat lovers. I wonder if I can get it. There it goes. It's like a cat lovers cup. Dollar Tree is an excellent place to get coffee cups. This is why we have so many, because parents can go to the Dollar Tree and then they can throw in a tea bag in there and they've got a great Christmas gift. But I absolutely love this coffee cup. Do you know what the difference between this dollar coffee cup is and this $25 coffee cup is? I'm gonna have to push the button to see that. This is, here, let me click right there. This $25 coffee cup. You know what the difference between this dollar cup is and this $25 cup is? That right there. You see, that's Ray Dunn. I was very blessed to enter into a collaboration with Ray Dunn. If you don't know you got to know who Ray Dunn is. Okay, she did the font that looks like this and the font that looks like that. She's a famous pottery person, and teachers absolutely love her. So I was able to enter into a collaboration with her, and this seriously mug with my name on it. If I had done this without Ray Dunn, it would have been an $8 cup. But because her trademark is on it, then it's now a $25 cup. You see, when someone puts their trademark on something, makes a unique something, then the value goes up. And you know what a trademark is? It's just giftedness. This dollar cup has no trademark. This cup has no trademark. It's $1. This one has a trademark, and it actually has two, and it's 25. I'm not saying this so you would buy this, but I'm just saying, you know what a trademark is? It's something someone has that other people don't. So here's my question to you. What's your trademark? What's your teacher's trademark? You see, when you realize what your trademark is, when you realize what your giftedness is, then you can help other people. Until you realize what you're gifted at, until you realize what you're good at, until you realize what your trademark is, you can't really help the people around you. You've got to realize what your trademark is, what your giftedness is, so that you can help other people. Because, you know, until we realize what we're good at, then we're not really willing to reach out and share with someone. So here's my question. What are you really good at? If administration superintendent called you and said, tomorrow I need you to lead a 15-minute PD, just 15 minutes on something you do great, what would you do? You see, that's what you're gifted at. You need to be willing to share with your other administrators, other leaders in your district around you, because when you share your giftedness, they share theirs. And here's how simple this is. Here's how simple it is to get you to do this. And again, remember, I'm going to put this into what just fell. I'm going to put this into our aspect for our teachers too. Here's how simple this is. If you want to be able to share your trademark, you got to ask about somebody else's trademark first. If you want to be a leader that shares, you got to be a leader that brings in first. And so all you got to do is look around you. All you got to do is think about your district and think about the people that are doing something great. And reach out to that person and said, hey, you know, I noticed that your bus line is getting out of school in 5 minutes and it takes me 35 minutes sometimes. How are you running your bus lane? And when you reach out to another administrator and say, I see that you're doing something great, can you help me? You're starting a reciprocal relationship, and I guarantee you, even if it's out of courtesy, they're going to reach out to you and say, can you tell me how you did this? Not a good time to cough. They're going to reach out to you and say, can you tell me how you did this? And now you've started a reciprocal relationship. You need to be able to do that, to reach out to people, to ask them about their giftedness, to ask them about their trademark, so that you can help them also. And then how great is that with teachers? You see, we got to have teachers share their trademark. We've got to have teachers share their giftedness. And here's why this is so great for you. You know what this means? This means giving a staff member 5, 10, 15 minutes at every staff meeting to share what their giftedness is. And here's the great thing about this. You can ask the teachers to share what it is you love. You don't got to say to them, pick what you want. Whatever you want in your building, you find the teacher that's doing that, and you allow them to share that as their trademark of their giftedness. And it doesn't even have to be anything big. Did you know a teacher can be gifted at lining their kids up for recess? If you don't believe me, go out there all day and watch these teachers. You got some teachers that call in their students. They're out there for 15 minutes trying to get this kid off of here and this kid off of here, and their kids are going crazy in this line. It is a gift to be able to blow a whistle or scream a word or say a name and have your entire class come in front of you, stand there, line up on zero, and walk through the hallways on zero. Doesn't that sound silly? But guess what it is? It's a giftedness. And if you see a teacher when you're out at the recess and you're monitoring out there and she blows her whistle and 30 kids come lining up, standing straight, in order, she walks in there and she didn't have to say anything. She's got a giftedness on an organization that you need to have her stand up in front of the staff and say, this is how I set my kids up for success with this. We as professionals have to look for our trademark and our giftedness and be ready to share that. But more importantly, as leaders, we have to pull giftedness out of our teachers and allow them to share it. And here's the thing, we do this all the time with curriculum. Oh, we've got a great math lesson. We got a great reading lesson. She's an expert on science. You got to go above and beyond that. Did you know, well, let me rephrase this. You know that there are teachers in your building that have never had a problem with a parent. Never had a problem with a parent. You know what that is? A trademark, a giftedness. Why are you not allowing that person who's never had a problem with a parent, why are you not allowing them to lead your staff meeting and say to them, and you could just say it, and they don't want to, they don't see it as, you just say, listen, I've asked Ms. Gonzalez to stand up here. She's going to give us 10 minutes. I've worked with Ms. Gonzalez for 15 years, and I've never, ever had a parent complaint or had to deal with a parent because she does a great job with that. Ms. Gonzalez, can you explain what it is? She may not even know it, but she can walk you through why it is she thinks relationships with those parents are important. It's absolutely amazing when someone shares their trademark, shares their giftedness. So here's my question to you. What's your trademark? What are you gifted at? If someone said, I need you to lead this group tomorrow in a 15-minute lesson, if that's something you're comfortable about, what would you pick? That's a trademark of giftedness. More importantly, take that back to your staff. Are you allowing them to share their trademark and their giftedness? Love these, love these, love these. These are $1. Let me see. See if I hold it up there, I think it does. These are Band-Aids that are at $1. Now, mind you, not a great decision because they don't stick real well, but I love these Band-Aids just because of what they represent, especially with this group in here that I want to show. So my child, these are not great. They kind of unstick to themselves a lot, but I'm going to actually put it on to wear as an object lesson while I'm talking. So I have 3 children. They are 2 years apart. Smartest thing in the whole world, by the way. If you're young and you want to have kids, have them 2 years apart. We had 3 kids 2 years apart. Right now they're 22, 24, 26. When they were younger, I was a youth minister, as I said, with my object lessons. I was a youth minister for 9 years, and we would take our high school seniors into Mexico every summer. We had a relationship with a school and with a church down there. We would take our high school students down there to do a week's work project. We did construction work. We would do vacation Bible school. We would go in to help teachers get ready with their classrooms. And we absolutely loved that. And when our kids got a little bit older, we started taking them with us. The first time we took them is when they were 2, 4, and 6. Jonah was 2, Molly was 4, Jared was 6. See, this is already coming off. Don't buy these at the dollar store, but they're still a good object lesson. So we took them down there 2, 4, and 6. So working, we were doing construction, we were doing vacation Bible school project. One of the things that we had to do down there is we were building a real small concrete fence all around this pasture so that the cows could not get out. Well, in Mexico, there was struggling financial situations, and so they didn't really buy strong concrete. So the concrete blocks that we were using were very, very weak. You could karate chop them really hard and they would bust in half. And if you threw them on another piece of solid concrete, they would explode into dust because they didn't really need to be that strong. Well, my kids thought this was the funniest thing in the whole world. They thought it was absolutely great that as a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, Molly didn't do it, the boys thought it was great to be able to hold a concrete block above your head, throw it down on the street, and have it bust open into dust. They were like acting like they were like Superman. So whenever they get a chance, they would grab the ones that were broken that couldn't be used, and they would pick them up and throw them down, and they would bust them, and they thought it was the funnest thing ever. Well, about 3 nights into the trip, we were about 3 hours into Mexico. I was leading a lesson, and it was probably about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden, one of the high school seniors came in and grabbed me. And I was like, I'm in the middle of this. And he pulled me off stage, and I went out there, and they had Jonah, my 2-year-old, and in the midst of them playing, Jared, my 6-year-old, was picking up a rock and was getting ready to throw it down. And as he was throwing it down, Jonah, the 2-year-old, reached in for a rock, and my son threw the rock directly on his hand, and my 2-year-old's finger was cut off. The entire top of his finger was off to the side by a piece of skin. So I'm 3 hours into Mexico with a 2-year-old with the top of his finger cut off. We screaming and yelling, everybody's upset, he's bawling, there's blood everywhere. The minister that was there scoops us up, grab my wife. We jump into this old station wagon with paneling on it, and we just drive. And we go to the local doctor. He's walking out the door and locking his door. And he says, I can't do anything for him. I don't have the expertise to be able to do this, but I can give him a shot for pain. And said the local doctor that was 3 minutes away gave him a shot in his finger and said, you got to go to San Antonio. 3 hours away with a 2-year-old with his finger hanging by his side, screaming at the top of his lungs. So the minister came with this old beat up van, and we got in this old beat up van, and we drove 3 hours with a 2-year-old with his finger cut off. You know what we didn't worry about? Molly and Jared, who were back at the church. We left in that station wagon with our youngest without saying goodbye to Molly, who was 4, without saying goodbye to Jared, who was 6. Do you know why? Because they didn't need us. They didn't need us at that point. We jumped in these cars and we headed out, and we headed to be able to help the one that was there. We didn't even worry about those because we knew that we were leaving them with capable adults who loved them, with teenagers who had been their babysitters. We didn't need to worry about them. You know why? Because they weren't the ones that were in need. You know what? We have students that are have bigger needs than others. Now, I kind of go back on this because everybody knows that. Everybody knows about differentiation. We talk about it all the time. And you need to challenge your teachers to be able to differentiate. And you know this. You got some teachers that differentiate well. You got some teachers that differentiate not so well. But we've got to make sure that we understand that we've got students in our classrooms that need us more. Now, that's obvious. Well, duh is what you're saying. But let me remind you of something. We've got students that need us more emotionally, not just academically. We've got parents that need us more. In your buildings, in your classrooms, you've got parents that need your help and need your staff's help more than others. And here's my challenge to you. You've got teachers that need your help more than others. There are some teachers that I could never go into their classroom all year round. They are absolutely amazing. They don't need me. I'm more of a bother to them. But I'm still in their classroom every day, by the way. You need to be in every classroom every day. If you're high school, middle school, and you're in a huge school, I understand maybe at least 3 times a day. But if you're elementary, you need to be in a classroom every single day, popping your head in, smiling, saying hi, popping your head in the afternoon. There are some teachers that I never, ever, ever have to do that with. I don't ever have to show up in the room to make my presence known, to make the kids know about that. But you know, I do it anyways. But you know what? There are some of my teachers that will require a lot more help than others. It's differentiation among your staff. And if you don't give those teachers what they need, then it will be a detriment to your staff. It's real easy to talk about differentiation with our students, and we completely forget that we also have to have differentiation with the adults around us. What teacher needs more time? What teacher needs more finance? We give our new teachers an extra $150 from our PTA. You know why? Because they need it. They aren't 25-year veterans that have all these things. We have teachers that are in need, and so we financially help our new teachers more than our veteran teachers because they're coming out of school with nothing. That's an excellent example of an adult that needs something else. You need to make sure that we're differentiating in the classroom. I'm going to take this off now. It's coming off now. Now it's stuck and it's going to hurt. We need to make sure that we're differentiating in our classroom, but you need to differentiate as leaders. You know what? District leaders, you have schools that need more attention than others, and we know that. We have to encourage our staff to show differentiation and to our parents and our students, but we as staff also have to do that. So here's my question to you. What did you hear today that pertains to you? Do you need to figure out which staff member would get which M&M because you don't know them really well yet, or you need to challenge your staff that? Do you need to find out what your giftedness is and share it with the people that are around you that are watching this at the same time so that you can also grab their giftedness? Do you need to be able to work on people's mistakes? What did you hear for your school? Because that's really my goal with this group. My goal was to give you a cheat sheet. My goal was to give you something that you can use to take back to your school and make it look like you came up with this. I'm absolutely okay with that. Don't reinvent the wheel. But what did you hear today? Do you have staff that are struggling with people's mistakes and they jump all over each other? Do you have a staff that doesn't know each other very well? What is it that you heard? Are you not using your staff's trademarks? Are you not using their giftedness? I'm telling you, if you like something a teacher is doing, give them 5 minutes in a staff meeting and allow them to share that trademark, share that giftedness that you've seen so that other people can duplicate it. And now you've got 10 teachers that are doing something great that you like. So I had a very simple goal here today for you to find 2 or 3 things that you could write down that would help you for this school year, and I hope you've done those. And for you to find 1 or 2 things that you can actually share with your staff. I also want to encourage you that if you ever need an idea, I've got videos that would fit with all of these. And so if you follow me or you watch my videos on YouTube, if you wanted to do a video, you could easily go in there. I've got a video on the free table, and you could talk about free table and talk about mistakes. And so you could use a video if you don't want to use object lessons. But do you see how easy this was to walk around the Dollar Tree and say, I really want to talk about getting along with each other. What in this store reminds me of getting along with each other, and use those things as an object lesson. But grab mine, steal mine. If you ever need a word of encouragement, if I've said something that you forgot or don't understand, you can always message me on social media. My social media is Gary Brooks, P-R-I-N, as in principal, G-E-R-R-Y. Everybody says Jerry, but it's not. Gary Brooks Prin is my social media on everything, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those. You can message me, and 99% of the time I will message you back. If I don't message you back, do it a couple times. Sometimes they get wrapped up in there, but I would love to hear from you. At some point, I hope to get down and be able to talk to you. I'm hoping maybe I can come to the whole staff at some point and talk to all your teachers, but I truly hope that you were able to walk away with 1 or 2 things that are going to help you for this school year, and also maybe 1 or 2 things that you can use to help your staff. If you ever need anything, let me know, and I will definitely be praying for you. I know the school year is very stressful, and things may have even changed in the last 10 hours. And we are having to deal with that as leaders and be the example there. So I'm hoping that you are leading by example. If you ever need anything, let me know. And it certainly was great to see you. Thanks so much.